What is the weirdest way you see someone eat a food? I saw a woman eating a stack of pancakes similar to how you'd eat spaghetti. She stuck her fork in the middle of the pancake, spun it around and ate the pancake piece she'd sorta carved out. I couldn't look away because it was so disturbing. I knew a guy that would only eat certain color Skittles one side of his mouth, and the other color Skittles in the other side. Me and my friend used to do this when we were kids because we thought it was funny how our tongues would end up being two different colors. When I was a child I used to eat those gross little beanie weenie single serve cups. I would always eat all the beans first, then suck the sauce off the hot dogs and line them up on my plate, then eat the skin off each individual hot dog, then finally eat the hot dogs themselves. I have to imagine my parents feared for my ability to ever live an independent adult life. Watching that show. It's like you created your own food adventure and all you were given was a can. I like it. I worked at a sushi restaurant once and had a family of 4 order plenty of ketchup with their meal. They completely dunked each piece of sushi in the ketchup before eating it. It was disgusting. I once ate at a reasonably fancy Japanese restaurant in the US. The waiter, being funny as he took our order, asked if he could bring out some ketchup to go with our sushi. On the spot I didn't realize it was a joke and said sure, not that I would have used it. Man, the look of disappointment on his face was legendary. I don't think I've ever let anyone down as badly before or since. There was this one boy at my high school who occasionally brought food to law class. One time he brought a donut. Instead of eating it, he just intensely stared at it. The teacher had to pause the lesson because she was so confused. Then the boy picked up the donut and looked through the hole and stared at the teacher. The teacher couldn't stop laughing. I like him. My mom removes the top bun from her burger, eats the rest of it with a fork and knife, then eats the top bun as a piece of cheese toast. What the? Not necessarily eat. But one time on the J train I watched a man finish his tea in a paper to-go cup and then just swallow the tea bag. He just swallowed it whole. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You saw an alien on their first day on Earth. I once saw someone drink their French fries, and I don't mean he liquefied them in a blender. Like he picked up the carton and swallowed them whole like he was downing a shot of whiskey. I can totally imagine this. His throat turning massive and the whole thing disappears. I saw a person make and eat a sandwich where the pieces of bread pointed opposite directions. It bothered me way more than I feel it should have. This is very upsetting to hear about. You're not alone. A friend went to a barbecue where the entire hosting family made fun of her for rolling her corn cob on the butter stick. According to them, the appropriate process of buttering corn was to cook toast, butter the toast, then rub the butter toast along the cob. Then you have toast to go with your corn. I'm at a BBQ. I don't want no toast stuffing me up. One time I was up in the White Mountains in NH for some camping. We stopped at a grocery store to pick up food and standing outside was this hippie guy with a raw ear of corn. He pulled the husk off and proceeded to chomp down on it like a banana, eating the cob and all. Bro, now, I'm just intrigued. I've lived in China for 5 years, and there's a joke that goes around here. If you can watch a Chinese girl, or guy, eat crab and you're still attracted to them, it's definitely true love. They basically put the claws in their mouth hole, crunch them up, somehow work the meat off and put it in a special Chinese cheek pouch, and then lean right forwards and down to dribble the bits of shell back onto the table, not onto the plate. That would be gross. Then swallow the meat. That mental image is very unappealing. I eat all of one thing, then I eat all of the next. This continues until there is nothing left on my plate. I've been told that is weird. There's a Chinese guy at work that holds his face directly over his plate and uses chopsticks to shovel food in at an alarming rate. He doesn't stop until his cheeks are bulging and he can barely chew it all at once. Once he finishes that, he gets back to shoveling over his plate. I think I'm going to stab him in the head one day. A classmate way back in high school used to eat apples right after she finishes her lunch. It was almost clockwork. She'll peel the entire skin with a spoon, discard the skin, then eat the now skinless apple. I eat entire apples, from the bottom to the top. Makes it so there isn't any waste, plus you really can't tell you're eating the core except for the seeds. I've also been told I use a knife and fork the European way and it's weird. Fork in left hand with tines pointing down, unless I need to scoop something, and knife in right hand. I saw an exchange student eating Cheetos with chopsticks, which I thought was really weird, but then I realized how genius that was. At first I thought you said Cheerios. It would be hard trying to stack the O's on the sticks. Everyone berates me for this, but when I get sunny side up eggs, I will eat all the egg white first, and leave the yolk for last. I'll either dip some toast into the yolk, or just eat it straight up. This sick frick I know eats Costco hot dogs at the side. He takes a bite of the hot dog horizontally, not vertically like a normal person by shoving the tip of the hot dog in his mouth. He just bites the shaft. He also does this with chicken bakes and ice cream. He is a threat to society and needs to be put down. Shoving the tip of the hot dog in his mouth. He just bites the shaft. I saw someone at an Indian buffet start coughing, then vomiting onto their plate, then eating the vomit food, then went back for seconds at the buffet. It kind of ruined the experience for me. I like to eat the outside of a baby carrot first and then I get to eat the core after the outside is complete. Core is a lot sweeter. I work 12-hour shifts in a production job. One of my associates, on a daily basis, would take a bag of flamin' hot Cheetos and pour it into a bowl like cereal, then proceed to pour Red Bull over it, and eat it like that. Being a no tobacco campus because fire hazards, he also snuck dip like most of us since we couldn't leave. So, while holding tobacco dip, this guy would eat flamin' hot Cheetos and Red Bull cereal, daily. You take second place, slightly behind the person at the Indian buffet who ate their buffet vomit. I eat the whole peanut, the shell and all. Then there was this one kid who would bring in half a cucumber for lunch and just eat it. It was literally a number cut in half. I do that with sunflower seeds. RIP. And rip my butthole. Saw my grandma suspiciously sniff and nibble a mozzarella stick. It was perhaps the smallest bizarre moment of my life. It's fried cheese, grandma, and you aren't a hamster. The nibbling is kinda hamster-esque. Smelling food might save your life, plus taste is mainly based on smell anyways. After eating a snack cake thing that was covered in that fake waxy chocolate only to find out that the inner contents had turned to mold, I smell pretty much everything I eat. One of my best friends will eat his pizza crusts first, every single time. None of us will let him eat pizza with us. We won't have heathens at our table. But that's just smart. The crust is the boring bit and he's saving the cheesy toppingy part until last. A couple of years ago I saw a man pay for his tub of Haagen-Dazs, open it up and start eating it like an ice cream cone. He didn't even get out of the shop first. That was an interesting sight. Know those wafer cookies, long and skinny, with different cookie and creme layers, usually pink or orange, waffle texture? Well, I used to eat the wafer, just the wafer, off the top of the cookie. The goal was always to leave all the creme below intact. Repeat for the bottom wafer. Then you're left with a reverse Oreo, creme on the outside, wafer on the inside. The ratio of creme to wafer on this poor, skinned cookie was delicious. I was a strange child. Sugar wafer cookies, they still make them. I still like to eat them like that when alone. It's a thing. My stepdad always mixes up everything on his plate and eats it all together. I get so disgusted by what he mixes sometimes, but most of the time he does it. During Thanksgiving my friend sent me a video of her aunt eating all her food together then slurping the juices all together like the last bits of soup. This makes my stomach turn just thinking of it. I have a friend that eats bananas like apples. He eats around the middle, leaving some sort of banana core. He claims the middle part of the banana is gross. I know someone who eats literally everything with chopsticks. I've seen him eating everything from a slice of toast to fruit with chopsticks. It's quite impressive really. This dude is in training. I commend him for his commitment. I too am impressed. One of my friends took a piece of steak. It's so small you can hold it between your index finger and thumb, and grips it with his two hands. He then proceeds to take the smallest bite I've ever seen. Also, when he eats a chicken leg, he only eats the center with the most chicken and that's it. My GF uses her thumb and index finger to pick the cheese and toppings off her pizza and eats them. Then after she's left with the bottom crust of the pizza, she eats that. This is how I ate pizza growing up. Pizza dough crust is just a vehicle for the good parts anyway. I eat the dish, or dishes, I like least first, then combine all the other foods into bites to have a little of everything except whatever I dislike. Watched a guy eat a can of spam with a package of Oreos, cracked open the can and scooped the spam out with the cookies. When I was little, I'd squeeze the inside of frozen peas into my mouth and discard the shell on my plate. Every single pea. It drove my parents insane. I didn't like peas as a kid. Parents forced me to eat them. I would take one fork or spoonful and then wash them down with water, swallowing them whole without chewing. It drove my mom crazy. I've met enough Polish people to know that many of them eat a banana from the other end. That is to say, that they peel back the bottom, rather than opening it up via the part at the top. Always have done this. It makes it so you have no strings attached to the banana. It is also the way monkeys and chimps eat them. Last summer, I met this Ukrainian girl and we were slicing up lemons for shots. We have one round and I see her eat her lemon wedge, rind and all. I try it for myself with my second shot. Not bad, honestly. I dangle ramen, like I wrap it twice to get it secure, then I just lift it up way above my head and slide my mouth under it. I then gently lower it into my mouth. I've been told it's weird. Yes, that's what she said and such. I do completely the opposite. I must make sure each mouthful has a good amount of everything and that I'm not left with just one thing at the end. I work with a woman who maintains eye contact whilst eating bananas. I find it discomforting, but I also don't want to be the person who explains why she shouldn't. I've seen people eat French fries dipped into milkshakes. I'm sure it's delicious or else they wouldn't do it, but it just seems so wrong. Oh man, it's so good. I don't know about weirdest, but I can think of a few possibilities. Hubby, Jeebus rest his soul and all that, insisted on eating his ramen and pho with a fork. Then, he'd utilize a bendy straw to slurp up the broth. Now, he was Vietnamese and raised using chopsticks. The fork thing began when he lost the use of his left hand, and his right hand was iffy. Second weirdo thing would have to be that my daughter eats pizza with a fork. Those having been mentioned, I am also guilty. I eat my burgers out of the wrapper, as not to touch the food with my hands. Too greasy. That's the pro way to eat a burger. Don't you let those heathens shame you. I don't sprinkle salt on my French fries. I'll push the fries to the side a bit, pour out a small pile of salt, and when I pick up a fry, I sorta dip it in the salt pile. I put dip in quotation marks because I feel like that implies I'm dunking it in there. It's just a slight touch so that some grains of salt stick. I don't really eat French fries or ketchup anymore, but back when I did I would always salt the ketchup rather than the fries. It just falls off the fries, so instead I'd make a salty ketchup solution. When I'm alone I'll lick both sides of the chip, crisp, and then eat the licked clean chip. I get the spice taste first and then the potato flavor. The worst trouble I ever got into as a child was when I licked the cheese off of all the Doritos and put the wet chips back in the bag. Has a co-worker that would bring sandwiches for lunch every day. About an hour before her lunch she would take the sandwich out of the fridge and put it under a file cabinet in her office to smash it flat. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.